Page 760, we're looking at two-way frequency tables. These aren't really that difficult, but wanted to make sure you've seen them and so you know how they work. So if you look at this activity 1 on page 760, so we have a table that gives information about ticket sales for 2 movies. Table also separates sales into tickets purchased by men and women. So you can see what percent were sold to men, what percent of the men bought tickets for Story of Love. So we can calculate ratios and percents for these different groups here. Men who purchased tickets to martial arts champ to all men. That's our ratio. Those that purchased the tickets to that to all the men. And so you can see that we had 12 men that purchased tickets to martial arts champ out of total of 90. Now, even though this is a simple calculation, we should still write this on our paper. That way, in case we add wrong, then somebody's got something to look at. So that's 12 out of 90. As always with fractions, we're going to try to reduce if possible. These actually are both divisible by 6. You might only see a 2 to start with, and then a 3, or maybe a 3 and then a 2, however you do that. But anyway, we're going to reduce that down to 2/15. That's a ratio. And then the percent, finding the percent, we would just divide those out. So if you divide 2 divided by 15, you get like 0.13, so on. And then we'll move the decimal over 2 spots. So we'll say it's about 13.3%. They should tell you about rounding or not rounding. So if they wanted an exact answer, we could just put a bar above the 3 since that was repeating. Otherwise, we're just going to go to the nearest 1/10 of a percent here. We're going to act like that was part of their directions. Okay? So as you might expect, only a little over 13% of the men went to see martial arts champ. If you look at number 2, men who purchased tickets to martial arts champ to all who purchased tickets to martial arts champ. So the men that purchased that still would be 12. Now we're comparing it to all of them who purchased tickets to that movie. So we would need to, in this case, add the 12 and the 86 together, which would be 98. And again, even though that's a simple calculation, we would still want to write that on our paper. Okay, so we got 12 out of 98, and then we can reduce that. Reduced by 2 would be 6/49. That's our ratio, and then the percent. Okay, so when you divide that out, 6 divided by 49, you get something like this. And again, when I'm saying round to the nearest 1/10 of a percent is what I was meaning. So move your decimal 2 spots to the right, changes your decimal to a percent. And then this is either 12.2% or 12.3%. It's closer to 12.2%. Okay, so 12.2% of the people who watched martial arts champ were men. Number 3, women who purchased tickets to martial arts champ to all who purchased tickets to martial arts champ. So similar to what we did on 2, except for now we're looking at the women. So So that would be 86 out of a total of 98. The 98 is just what we got from the last problem, so you can refer back to that, I guess, if you want. And then we're just trying to reduce if we can. Those are both even, so we can reduce that to 43 over 49. And that's all the further we can go with that. So that would be about 87.8%. Okay, 87.8% of the people who watch Martial Arts Champ were women. I think they're having a little humor maybe on this activity. Number 4, women who purchase Story of Love to all who purchase Story of Love. So make sure you're looking at the right numbers here. So 78 and 25 are the two numbers we've got to look at first of all. So if we add 78 and 25, that's a total of 103 people. And we're looking for the women. So 25 out of 103. We can't reduce that. So divide that out, move your decimal over, round to the nearest tenth. We're going to round that up to 24.3%. Okay, and then number 5, just asks which movie is more popular with women and with men. So you can just look at this from the numbers on the table, really, without doing all the figuring here. We can see that more popular with the women is Martial Arts Champ, and more popular with the men is Story of Love.